Are you going to let me in? You live like a pig. This is your gallery. Are you using their primitive tools? Is this done with a pencil? You'll be scratching on rocks next. I met him today, the mongrel that you admire so much. Saameron. He came in with his minder to report back on their trip to the Middle East. Tired. He looked tired. This one is quite good. It actually looks like him. You do know his lips aren't red. Or does he paint them for you as part of your payment? No. He doesn't like. I'm not surprised. I've met ET whores who won't paint their lips. You would have to ask them. Or ask him. I was there for a meeting about image management. Sex toys. ET-based sex toys. Mostly based on him. They were kept waiting. I went out to fetch him with Snide. He was asleep, leaning against Johnson like a house cat. Snide. He's a human, a lawyer. His family has old money. He thinks it makes him special. Thinks poorly of anyone not born with his privileges. I like to let him talk. It lets me watch and listen. They have given me a new office. Glass walls, a view of the city. The humans are nervous around me, which is as it should be. This morning someone left a large doll on my chair, almost life-size. A sex doll, with blue skin and yellow hair, and large golden eyes. He saw it, Saameron saw it, as we walked past my office, and he asked me about it. He didn't know what a sex doll was. Snide enjoyed himself. A fuck toy who doesn't know what a fuck toy is. The doll. He was unimpressed. Perhaps we should show him some of the Japanese love dolls, far more realistic. Some of them talk in his voice. AI-generated, patterned on everything he said in public. It's a whole industry. Saameron porn. Deep fakes. I'm sure you can imagine. Some of the dolls even look like a younger version of him, a boy version. The legal team gasp. They are so shocked. I dare say anyone who buys one of these hideously expensive robotic copies will treat it better than his owner treated the actual child. Hard to control when we have so few rights. Did he tell you about his trip to the Middle East? The target was already dead, apparently. A hard death, he said. The poor man had a hard death. A cherub. They never learned his name. Saameron was wearing a burqa in that heat, and the mortuary was poorly refrigerated, stank of death. He threw up. Snide was amused. He didn't tell you about this. Are you not friends? Or does he just call when he needs something? Or owes you something? Is that how it works? You give him a language and he drops by a few days later to pay his debts. How humiliating. Not for him, for you. Because you have feelings for him. It shows in the pictures. And you have to buy his time with your services. Oh, be still. I'm here because you were discussed. Because you are indiscreet. You gave English to his latest rescue, Xonak called Tash. Snide asked him how you were paid. Were you paid in money? Yes, he told them that would offend you. When Snide pressed, he suggested we bring you in and let him make the offer himself. He could see that Snide is a glossy fool, and he let it show. The human didn't like being laughed at. Eventually, Saameron admitted that he pays you with sex. Snide already knew that, of course. It was why he asked the question. That's a fairly well-known rule among lawyers. We don't ask a question unless we already know the answer. I don't often feel shame. No, I don't care about your sex partners. As long as you don't breed, I don't care who you play with. They played a CCTV recording of him disciplining you in the foyer of a high-end apartment building. You touched him, and he brought you down with a single blow. He's half your body weight. And then you threatened a police officer, completely out of control, and your pet mongrel had to talk you down. He has far more sense than you do. He understands our place in this world. I listened to them debate. They called you unhinged, dangerous, violent. There must be other Nadev who could provide the service. He defended you, even when their medical officer pointed out how many times you've left marks on him, cracked his ribs. He told them you never deliberately hurt him. Is that true, I wonder? No, don't talk. It's not as though I actually care whether you've hurt him or not. When Snide called him a whore, I thought Saameron would damage him. Still not sure the US government can allow its people to be seen whoring themselves out. He reminded them that we are not people, not protected by the law, no more rights than a horse. You could rip him apart, and the charge would be animal cruelty. If we wanted him to use another Nadev, we should find one for him. Allies, he said. Allies, not friends. He described his first training session, shipside. He was stupid enough to answer a question by talking about his owner. They don't tolerate that, as you know. Talk like a slave, they treat you like a slave. They hurt him. Brutally. Almost killed him. He said, "You think you know what the Nadev are. You don't know shit." He was the only one who didn't look at me when he said that. All this because you can't control your impulses. Did you know he was a non-breeder? It's a classification the breeding farms give to some of their more unusual products. When they cannot be sure what any issue would look like, they sterilize them and warn their new owners that they will not buy them back. Apparently Saameron got drunk with his human friends and told one of them that he was a non-breeder. He had never told anyone before. He was sharing a deep, dark, shameful secret. When he asked permission to leave his new Xonak with his friends, with Nadia and her children, this idiot spoke up. Snide spoke up. But they're not your children, are they? You're a non-breeder. Your pet jumped across a conference table to get to him, slammed him into a wall perhaps 6 times before he gave up our contact in that household. No, Saameron is an ET. Like the rest of us, he doesn't have any right to privacy, which is why we defend ours so vigorously. He has no right to privacy, but his friends do. They are humans, and they have money, and lawyers, and public influence. We did not come out of it well. Snide is useless to me now. I shall have to fire him. Someone needs to carry the blame. I am here to tell you that your behaviour is unacceptable. You are an embarrassment to us. The Council will insist on your moving back into the Enclave unless matters improve. I am here to tell you to behave yourself. No, I don't care about that. Fuck who you like. No, I don't care if you hurt him. Why would I care if he doesn't? But public displays of violence, especially against their police, will not be tolerated. Of course I didn't. I barely spoke to him. I told him nothing. And you will tell him nothing. That was part of our agreement when we let you move out of the complex. I was very clear. Do nothing to shame us, nothing to attract attention to yourself or the rest of the Nadev community. Do not speak about me at all, ever, to anyone. Think about what I've said. You're being watched. Don't call me that. I gave birth to you against my will. I was out of my mind with the drugs they gave me, or I would have ended you before you were born. I bore you. I let you live. That doesn't make me your mother.